So President Trump has recently came up in a comment about how Jews in America are turning their backs against Israel because they're voting for the Democratic Party, and any Jew that votes for the Democratic Party is a traitor. Just listen to what he said.
The Democrats have been very, very opposed to Jewish people. That's true, and to Israel. All you have to do is look at Senator Schumer. What he did with Israel is...
Even I'm amazed at how many people are in those marches. And guys like Schumer see that, and to him it's votes. I think it's votes more than anything else. Any Jewish person that votes for Democrats hates their religion, they hate everything about Israel, and they should be ashamed of themselves, because Israel will be destroyed.
However, I also believe Prime Minister Netanyahu has lost his way by allowing his political survival to take the precedence over the best interests of Israel.
Instead of Hamas, but the majority of Israelis support the policies that we're leading. Go into Rafah, destroy the remaining Hamas terrorist battalions.
Again, many Jews have been turning their backs against Israel because they support fully the Democratic Party. They have no real connection to Israel anymore. And again, they're voting for a Democratic Party who, like Chuck Schumer, has been trying to push for Netanyahu's resignation during the war. And many Democrats who have been trying to push for Israel to have a complete ceasefire, to give Hamas a complete victory. This is very dangerous, and this is why many American Jews have become useless idiots to the Islamic terrorists of Hamas.
It's being done in our name. We have to stand up and yell. It's not anti-Semitism to be against Zionism. On the contrary, we are attacked. Even when I went out in New York...
For the United States to have Hamas on its terror list, but not IDF soldiers.
I don't want to answer that.
The pro-Israel narrative was in many ways very similar to the pro-American narrative, in that it was this kind of heroic, almost mythical tale of creating a new state, but didn't include the people who lived there.
I personally support economic and diplomatic action and pressure against the
Jewish groups are gathering in the U.S. Capitol to call for a ceasefire in Gaza. Some chance, occasional chance.
Would you ever go live in Israel?
No, it would be...
I'm the same way, and we're going to piss off the
streets, and many of us putting our bodies and freedom on the line. There were at least 400 arrested yesterday in Congress saying, not in our name.
The Democratic Party doesn't have an anti-Bibi problem. It has an anti-Israel problem.
Mitch McConnell is right. Anyone who votes for the Democratic Party is now voting for one of the most anti-Israel parties in the United States. Just look at what all these congressmen and women have been doing against Israel within Congress.
The United States has our own requirements outlining the transfer of weapons to forces engaged in gross human rights violations. We have a responsibility to honor those laws, to facilitate a bilateral ceasefire, to move to end this campaign of mass casualty and loss. Why don't you want the Israelis to go after the terrorists that did that? How many more killings is enough for you? Is it 1,000 more? 2,000 more?
And I bring you greetings from St. Louis, Missouri, where I represent in the United States Congress. I love you. We're out here demanding that the world and our government refuse to turn a blind eye to the collective punishment against Palestinians.
Upset, Bowman voted against resolutions to condemn Hamas.
Westchester is 15% Jewish. You are not representing our interests when you vote against resolutions like that.
The second-term congressman also boycotted the July speech to Congress by Israeli President Herzog, and now supports a ceasefire in the...
gurus, but who better to make a statement than our beloved rabbis to say, ceasefire now. We thank you. We love
for the ceasefire against civilian men, women, and especially children. Because it's true. Like Israel...
Calls for a ceasefire are calls for Israel to surrender to Hamas, to surrender to terrorism, to surrender to barbarism. That will not happen.
Israel used to be a nonpartisan, bi-party issue where everyone, both Democrats and Republicans, support Israel. But now the Democrats have become such an anti-Israel party, such an anti-Jewish party, that even President Biden has been pushing for a ceasefire and threatening Israel not to give them arms if they go into Rafah, which is necessary to win the war against Hamas and destroy Hamas. All these Jews who are supporting the Democrats and voting for them are inadvertently voting for anti-Israel policy that's going to hurt Israel, and that is why I think Trump is right when it comes to Jews supporting the Democratic Party.